Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be checking out a piece by the career digital illustrator known as Ian Jones. This episode, we're going to be talking about the portrait, we're going to talk about the idea of visual energy, and we're also going to talk about the messenger of chaos. So let's jump right into it. So when I first see this work, I really met face to face with this kind of lone ghoulish subject here. Certainly catches the eye in a very striking introduction in our first impression. And so we see our subject set and center here, so it's certainly going to catch the eye. You're not going to miss our subject here. And we also see our subject, the silhouette is primarily defined through this dark and light contrast, of course, against this very vivid, very colorful back. So this extremely diverse color backing is really the perfect neutral background to allow that kind of dark and light contrast of our subject's cloak to accent itself to the highest degree possible. And so we see the format really reminiscent of a portrait here. Of course, we have primarily the bust up, so it is quite intimate, really face-to-face with our subject here. And it does feel quite confrontational, of course, such an intimate format in the context of a darker work or some type of kind of scary subject here is going to feel very confrontationally kind of face-to-face with such a dark subject here. And so in the realm of color, we really have kind of it's kind of like a split complementary scheme, but all in all, it's very diverse. You have so many colors here. Of course, you have kind of a teal, a cyan, a blue, light blue, dark blue, hot pink, yellow, so many different colors you could really point to here. But all in all, this really diverse color palette also adds the sense of visual energy present within the work at hand. And so aside from that, what also adds a bit of visual energy is this texture, right? You have these kind of course, the digital illustration, you can kind of scratch almost anything onto the screen there. And we really see that, right? All these different layers, really native to Neo-expressionism as well. That's also a thing you could point to. But all in all, this incredible sense of texture feels quite rough, right? You have the tic-tac-toe, you have all of these scratches, you have all these geometric shapes, X's, so many different things within the work. And not only does that rough texture add to the visual energy at hand, but it also stands in kind of haunted harmony with these really darker themes at hand, right? These tumultuous themes just pull your attention in and command our attention with absolute ease. And so what you'll also notice, of course, a very chaotic composition. When you have so much visual energy, there is going to be a sense of chaos within the work at hand, right? And so that chaos and that visual energy truly go hand in hand with each other. They kind of pass off. Of course, chaos defines that visual energy, and visual energy normally defines at least a little bit of a sense of chaos as well. And so we also see our subject is cloaked here, so that gives almost like a Grim Reaper aesthetic of sorts, right? The messenger is here, but it is a very dark, very chaotic aesthetic, so some may be reminded of the Grim Reaper in that aesthetic. And so we also see our subject is kind of glitched, right? You look around our subject's face here, it almost looks glitched as if the pixels are being torn downward. Of course, the digital illustration allows for this really nice, almost like what would you call it? Smear your paint in a way, and that's not to say in a bad way at all. That really is how the effect that we see there, almost like a glitch effect. So all in all, it does also add to a bit of visual energy within the work at hand. So there's no doubt this is a very, all in all, this feels like a very dark and daunting piece, but we also see that set alongside such vibrant and vivid colors there. So there is this really unique juxtaposition where you have these brilliantly bright colors, but aside from that, you have this really harsh texture, a little bit of an unsettling subject there. So all in all, really dynamic work, and I absolutely love this one. I hope y'all enjoyed as well. So our subject as the messenger is quite interesting, right? We ask ourselves, what does the messenger bring? And in the written description that I was working on, I was kind of grappling with this idea, of course, a very chaotic composition, and of course the title as the messenger. Perhaps this is the messenger of chaos, and so the messenger of chaos can be thought of in so many different ways. Let's say you make a mistake in real life, you're having a really bad day. Well, at times, those really unsettling feelings, those really chaotic feelings can really kind of give a sense of a message, right? It can kind of surface in maybe a new realization. So with the kind of chaos that I see within the work at hand, perhaps the messenger is bringing something of value. So all in all, I asked the question to y'all, who do you think the messenger is? What does the messenger bring? And, even more importantly, how do y'all feel when you view this piece, or what do you think we're looking at here? So all in all, really hope y'all enjoyed today. Aside from this, so the medium here, I mentioned it a few times, it is a digital illustration. So it's going to be, painstakingly creating that on a screen there, a lot different than, say, kind of the modern AI art that we see a lot of people working with. I absolutely love the digital illustration, perhaps the most popular medium in digital art today, and for so many different reasons, right? The undo button, the alignment with, say, traditional paint in a few different ways, so many different things you could truly point there. And so last thing I wanted to hit on is a style or movement of Neo-expressionism. And so Neo-expressionism, of course, one of the most famous ones we know of course, is Basquiat. I'm actually going to be writing about one of his untitled skull works pretty soon. But Neo-expressionism is truly defined by a kind of non-objective approach, right? And so we certainly see that here. Our subject isn't, completely accurate. It's not 100%. It's not objective realism. There is this very stylistic aspect to the work at hand, and I absolutely love that. And aside from that, the Neo-expressionism, a lot of artists within Neo-expressionism, also called Junge Wild, if y'all know a little bit of German there, that's kind of what I referenced. One of the other things they talk about is a really rough handling of materials as well. So we kind of see that here. We talked about that rough texture in the digital illustration. You really scratch and kind of throw so many different layers on top of each other. So we certainly see that within this work of Neo-expressionism before us. So hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all did, go check out the original artist. It's going to be Ian Jones, really a career digital illustrator at this point. So many different things. Y'all can buy prints. Y'all can go, I believe he has some works on the blockchain as well if y'all want to go support him directly. So many different avenues to really support this artist. So I hope y'all enjoyed today. Hope y'all learned something. We talked about the messenger. We talked about digital illustrations, Neo-expressionism, incredibly vivid colors, this kind of harsh texture, the messenger, so many different things we hit on today. So I hope y'all enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.